This is American Dumpster Fire.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is American Dumpster Fire, and the world is literally on fire right now, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Right now, introductions. I'm Loki,
Odin.
I'm Tyr.
and we're a podcast kind of designed to talk about the problems with the world. I don't remember how we phrased it. But
I think that we said something along the lines of political and social issues with a touch of humor, because if you can't laugh, you're going to cry.
we make fun of everything.
Yeah.
We're kind of dark that
And
way,
occasionally
I guess.
just cultural stuff like
yeah.
Batman.
Cultural stuff, and then just, a little bit of hope for the future, maybe.
And Batman. But not just Batman.
No.
But Batman.
Alrighty then.
We find ourselves talking about him way too much.
And
Any
We
rate,
do talk
I
about
actually
it
think
too
I'm
much.
funny.
yeah, so I don't know.
Well, we got a few things to talk about. Okay, I guess let's get the quick thing out of the way because it is what it is. David Koch died today when we're the day we're recording this.
You mean Coke?
Whatever, it's spelled Koch,
I mean, I've always called them the Cook brothers or
and
Koch
he's
brothers.
a crotch. I don't know. He's a terrible person. I'm not one to, I guess, talk too bad about the dead, but there's not many nice things to say about him.
It's a pretty evil organization.
Right. So I guess you would cheer if Skeletor died if you were He-Man, right?
Well, I guess it'd be helpful to say what they're behind. It's like oil and coal
It's
and all
harmful,
that.
and I don't know what Skeletor ever did to you to be compared.
You know,
to the Koch brothers.
disinformation campaigns.
Right.
climate
No,
change
yeah,
and all
like
that.
downright evil, seedy shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like funding climate denial and stuff like that.
Legitimately, yeah, they're
Evil candidates.
funding, yes, lying scientists basically. 'Cause
Right.
I don't think there's actually any scientists left who actually believe that climate change is not an issue.
I believe that
Even those that are being paid, it's very hard to find any that actually support any of these positions.
Well, and it's entirely possible because Fox News has found several people say they were scientists and stuff like that,
And they're not.
and they're not.
yeah.
Yeah. So, or they've got like an associate's degree in something completely
So,
unrelated.
and on
Engineering.
top of,
Yeah, it's
Right.
not even close to related.
and then on top of the fake scientists who are denying climate change, they also have bought a lot of congressmen
Right.
and politicians.
Well, I hear that Republicans have a buy one get one free sale going at any given moment.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I don't know. Loki here is pretty much our resident political wonk. I hate politics. The only reason I pay any attention to it at all is because I want to contribute. I want to vote because if I don't know what the hell I'm doing, then I'm a victim of it.
if you follow our Twitter page at @fire_American, I'm the one who runs that. So, if you like it, it's me. If
But
you
yeah.
hate it, it's the little dwarf I keep in a shelf.
He actively follows this. I listen to NPR and Bill Maher. Okay, you know that's. I might read an article here or there, you know, but
Yeah, I do. NPR, BBC, AP.
well, BBC is NPR. I mean,
So,
basically.
So does everybody
With an accent.
know who these people are? Like everybody knows who the Koch brothers are, right?
if they don't, they probably don't care.
Okay.
So, I'm guessing if you
yeah,
don't,
I was gonna say if you don't care, you're already
I
bored
saw
with this
somebody on
conversation.
Twitter say that they liked him, and so I'm like,
Really?
I don't know that you know who this is. You
Right.
know,
or you're not a Democrat
like why would Republicans like them?
Well, we're not specifically
because they're told to.
a Democrat or
Uh.
liberal show. We just most of us fall in that camp, and we'll lean a little that direction.
I don't consider myself standardly a Democrat. It's just that right now they stand for all the same things I do.
well, except for the extremists, there are.
There's always extremists.
You
Yeah,
mean the
but
ones that say we can reach across the aisle and work with Republicans?
No, the
Yeah,
ones
I
who
agree.
shut down conversation when you don't agree with them.
I don't think those are Democrats, though. I don't know. I think
Well,
that
they're
just-
liberals. They may not be Democrats, but they're liberals, and they're just as conservative
How?
in that.
Because they said so.
I guess
You also have to
that's the
consider
label they
the
wear.
fact that
That's. I
you
mean, what
have
else are
to
you gonna paint them
consider
with?
the fact that just because somebody doesn't agree with you doesn't mean it's their job to educate you.
Right.
Google's a thing. You know what I'm saying?
No, no,
like,
but I
so
mean,
for
if you
people to
actually
shut
want
down
to have a conversation, and there's
nothing.
Well, if you shut down a conversation, you obviously didn't want to, your view to be known. So I
then
mean,
why yell it at me?
then you just ignore them. I mean, that's all. They're a doorstop. Then who cares? They're a loud doorstop. Like,
Very loud.
So, if they want to have proper discourse, by all means. If not,
It's
go
gotten to
away.
the point that comedians are afraid to take very lucrative jobs at colleges. And the reason they're so lucrative is because, well, they don't have good management in colleges. A lot of that is student organizations that raise money, and they have no idea what to pay a comedian. So they end up paying them like 2.5, 3 times as much as they'll get in other gigs. So they love these college things, and they used to be great audiences. But nowadays, everything is some sort of microaggression or something. It's a landmine. It's gotten to the point that Seinfeld won't do it.
All right. So I've said this a few times on my page.
I mean, he's G-rated as you get.
And I am not responsible for your feelings. So
That used to be
that's just
a liberal point.
that's it. You
Here's
can
the
have whatever
thing.
feelings you want,
It doesn't.
but I'm not responsible.
It's not
for
a
that.
matter
Freedom of
of
speech.
I guess my point is that I never used to worry so much about, being adamantly left or liberal or whatever until a point when it became an us or them. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
now our
Right.
livelihood is
If I
literally
got to
in
choose a side,
danger.
I know where I'm at.
Yeah.
But I mean,
like,
there are a lot of people making
back
us
in
look
the
bad.
day, it was okay.
It
so
could be downright
it was no big
embarrassing.
deal. Like I never got into political arguments because ultimately, did it really matter? But now it matters.
I don't know. I thought it's matter for pretty much the turn of the millennium.
I mean, look, you don't be disrespectful
But
for
it's
the
so
sake
much
of being.
worse now.
It's not. You don't be disrespectful for the sake of being disrespectful. Then you're just being a dick.
sure.
But I mean, if I accidentally say something that you didn't like,
Well,
just deal with
Here's
it.
the thing. We've gone through a lot of changes in the last 20 years. I mean, monumental changes as a society. Stuff that we should have done. Directions we needed to move. And if someone uses a wrong pronoun or something, use it as a teaching opportunity. Don't chastise them. Don't browbeat them. Be like, hey, man, this is what I prefer.
Well,
and if they don't do it, then they're being an a-hole.
A lot of us were raised to say "ma'am" or "sir." If that's not what you go by, then just
Right.
Like
Like,
I mean,
unless you're wearing
personally,
a name tag, how am I supposed to know?
I've had long hair and stuff like that in the past, and been misgendered and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's
probably
happened,
on
like,
purpose.
twice to me.
I've been misgendered
and
online,
it's really
but I've
not
been
worth
misgendered.
my time.
Oh, yeah.
I've been misgendered online, definitely.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't have a. I mean, if I was a transgender person, I'm using the proper term, I hope. I can see living that life.
it's
that
not,
would
you
be
have
more
to
offensive.
consider the
You'd be
fact
more
that
sensitive.
it's not like, okay, well, I was misgendered once. It's a matter of the fact that this is something that's probably happened to them multiple times.
Sure.
Sometime, and like probably half the time, it's just because someone's being an asshole.
Right.
It's probably that they're dealing with somebody like a relative or
And I can understand that defensiveness.
a coworker or somebody who refuses to use their proper pronouns, and I can understand why it's very frustrating for
I'm
them.
just saying, a perfect stranger, give them the benefit of the doubt. They might just not be aware.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I
Yeah.
personally, if you see me in the street, I don't care what you use for my pronoun.
Except they're only hearing you, so nobody would know if they saw you in the street.
So, haha.
But if they knew you, they'd know it's an a-hole.
So here's my. I
Checkmate,
actually
liberals.
do have something to say about the pronouns. If I'm just going to butt something in here, while I think it's awesome that a lot of cis people are using the pronoun thing now and normalizing it so that people can't attack people who legitimately need to specify pronouns for whatever reason because they've been misgendered or because they're non-conforming or whatever it is. I think that's awesome. But also, I don't like it when I see people trying to push everybody to define their pronouns because not everybody is at liberty.
I think some people are fluid about it too.
What do you
Sure
mean?
they are. And in those
Oh,
cases, they're
okay.
usually specifying they, them, or they'll put he, her, or, something
Right.
like that. Yeah, there is gender fluid people for sure.
I'm not saying that they need to wear a name tag. I'm just saying if I made a mistake, let me know
No, that's not
in
what
a
I'm
nice
saying.
way, and
Right.
I will adapt.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I see sometimes people going overboard the other direction and insisting, everybody should have their pronouns listed. Not everybody has the freedom to list the pronouns they
Like
want
on a
people
name
to
tag,
use.
like at work or
like
something.
on
What do you
social
mean?
media and things
Oh,
like that. You know what I'm saying?
guess.
So I actually had
On social media, I'm an it because I don't want you to know that much about
who
me.
you are.
Yeah.
I mean, I hadn't originally had them on there just because I have no room in my bio for it.
Yeah.
Like, I
well,
was
yeah. I
legit
filled
out
mine
of characters.
Right to the letter. Yep.
Yep. So mine says like S/H now instead of like the full thing, and I'm like, whatever. You're either gonna read it as she, her, or shipping and handling. I don't know, but
Well,
like,
Once
but
in a
the
while,
point is that like I also don't like how pressury some people get about it, because you don't know these people and you don't know that they have the freedom to use the pronoun they want in their public social media. You know what I'm
well,
saying?
Yeah, not everybody can be out. Not everybody
And
can.
not
Right.
everybody knows the answer.
I grew up to where that was not okay. I grew up to where, if you were out, you got your ass kicked. And
In
and
society,
that's not
yeah.
okay. That is not okay by any means. But that's what we grew up with, and so it's kind of hard to let to change that for
I guess
people who live
I
with
don't. I don't even. I don't bat an eye at people who don't conform to gender norms or
that. No,
whatever
what I'm
it
saying is that we grew up with it not being okay to come out. Okay. And then
Our
when you-
generation was a whole different
when you
world.
did come out,
Oh,
you got
God,
your ass
yeah.
kicked for it. You know what I'm saying? And so
Let alone
what
the
now
multiple
that
letters.
it's a lot more okay
Yeah, they
it's
don't
still
realize.
hard
yeah.
to come out, and it's
And
still
I think
hard
that
to
that's
think
what
of
it is. I don't think that people are maliciously saying, "Hey, you need to put your pronouns." But I do think that there is something that you need to consider, is that not everybody is so free with their
Right.
coming out or
Yeah, a lot of
releasing
families
their
still
pronouns.
don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people are still in a family or in a situation where they cannot put that information down.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
you mean like
or
a
if they are
hyper-religious
forced to,
family?
it's maybe not going to be what they really identify with.
There are some people who chose to come out, at the risk of losing everything and may have lost everything. And there's some people who just didn't want to risk everything.
Right, exactly.
And
Sometimes the devil,
right.
And so, to make we literally just saw this. We went to Pride, and how many people had things like face masks
Right.
so that
Yeah.
people couldn't see them?
right.
Like, this is an everyday thing. This is a
And there were
very
hate
much
preachers
people's
there.
reality. Oh, yeah.
And I wouldn't put it past other people who taking pictures and trying to find out who people are and dox them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
So
that's what's awful about
that's
the world
my
we live
only
in.
thing with pronouns. Yeah, I think it's awesome that that people are doing this, whether or not they're comfortable with their gender, or whether they're trans or cis or non-binary or whatever it is. Like, it's kind of this big movement that's just spread across everybody, and that's awesome. I love that unity. But at the same time, I just don't think that it should be pushed on people, because you never know their situation.
Well, yeah, nothing should be pushed either way. I mean, I think that everybody's entitled to their personal realm of comfort.
Yeah, I do.
But
I
not
just
at the
think
risk
that
of other people. And
right,
that's the
and I
thing.
think that people will look at profiles, see that's not there, and be like, oh,
Well,
but
it is
you
what it
can't
is. I don't
judge
care what other
that
people
way.
judge me for. I mean, you're going to be judged either way, apparently. But
Well, that's what I was just
true.
kind of saying is give latitude on both sides.
Yeah, exactly. So,
right.
How did we get here from
I mean-
Coke?
I have no idea, but
well, you guys brought up the pronouns, so I kind of
Oh,
threw
okay.
in my 2
I
cents
don't
on
know how I
that.
did
I don't
that.
remember
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, I've lost that thread.
People attacking over actual mistakes and minor things.
Oh.
It went from the comedy thing to not knowing someone's gender or whatever.
So there's a little ADHD involved in this show.
Yes, yes. It is just us kind of
It was
spouting off
like 7
sometimes on
degrees of
topic,
Kevin
sometimes
Bacon
not.
or whatever. It just kind of spun off in a direction we didn't expect.
We are at times a little excitable. So in other news, I guess, because we had our moment of
Sure, rein us in.
Coke.
What you got?
so Trump tried to buy Greenland,
Yes.
but he kind of just said, I want to buy Greenland. I
It's
guess.
not as crazy as it sounds, though.
It sounds kind of
Isn't
crazy.
it?
Well, I can't remember who, but someone on the news or I saw was comparing it to the Louisiana Purchase, and it's like, well, I think we're a little past those days, but sure, if you can.
It didn't have a for sale sign on it.
But the thing is
I looked on Zillow. It was not there.
here's what you got to look at. We
Were you
have
expecting it to be?
I mean,
we have unprecedented melting ice. Okay, the entire Arctic Circle is opening up. There's offshore and onshore drilling.
so you're saying it could be a tropical paradise in a couple years?
No, I'm saying it's gonna be rich in resources no one's ever
Likely
touched.
might be.
Right? It might be genius, actually.
And then they were talking about putting a base there,
Love
but
the Greenland.
to my understanding, we actually already have a base for ICBMs and stuff. I heard some on Star Talk talking about with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and we were talking about like the shortest distance between 2 points on a globe is actually through the Arctic Circle. So like if you were going to see a northern continent attack another northern continent, you're going to see that coming over there first. And so they were saying, there's their whole Star Wars hitting a bullet with a bullet kind of thing. It's like 50-50. But that's where they would see it first. So if they're going to have a chance to do anything or retaliate, that's where they would. And my understanding, I swear I saw in a movie or some documentary, but I've seen that base. You know, so I don't know what they're talking about. Do we want more bases or?
I don't know.
Okay, first of all, I have 2 questions regarding that.
Do it.
Number 1, does everybody remember that time that Trump questioned the president of Puerto Rico? Yes, do we remember that?
About what?
I mean, yeah,
Okay.
what specifically?
He said he was complaining, like when Puerto Rico first had the hurricane or whatever that caused all the damage.
Right.
And
Or
he-
is
he-
this a paper towel
He
incident?
made a negative comment. Yeah, that event. He made a negative comment about the president of Puerto Rico not realizing it was a U.S. territory and that he was
Ro-
the president of Puerto Rico.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Didn't he call it a shithole?
I don't know. However,
Where he has multiple golf courses and they're poor because he screwed them.
yes, he went bankrupt and ditched them with
There's
bunch of
actually
debt.
a lot of problems as far as like loans and stuff, and way that we've screwed over that
Oh, yeah.
territory.
Yeah.
So in
And to
relation
the point
to
that they
that,
literally cannot. It's nearly impossible for them to dig themselves economically. We've kind of really screwed them.
Well, and half that's our restructure of their debt too. But yeah.
in relation to that, I would like to ask: do you really believe that he knew that we had a base there and whatever we were using it for?
Unless someone told him 5 minutes beforehand, I doubt it.
I don't think he
Exactly.
knows the address of the White House.
Does he know where Greenland is?
Well,
Could he point
again,
it out?
yeah, he's
want it for the golf
His-
courses.
he's
Probably
hard to
what he's
pin in
thinking.
because he does appear stupid, but other times he's very crafty and
He's manipulative.
Yes,
Crafty or manipulative.
he
Manipulative.
studies speeches by Hitler and stuff. I mean, he's learned how to manipulate the
Oh,
media.
Some of his speeches are straight out of Hitler's.
But that's my
book.
point.
That's
Everyone,
horrifying.
while he sounds stupid, does stupid things, and it definitely
Like
isn't boning up on
seriously,
on what
the
on his
translation
research.
isn't that much different.
But the fact is that he does know what he's doing, and he might be reading off the cuff or something. But it is purposeful what he's doing. This is
okay,
not-
I'm not going to say that he doesn't have lucid moments, but that man is starting to.
I don't know.
Starting, no,
That's
no,
the
he's
thing. I
got
can't, I
dementia.
can't define his intellect. It's so all over the map.
Well, here's the thing:
He's
is
just so-
he occurs to me to have several issues, and I do have a little bit of a medical background, so I can speak to some of this. Although they say don't diagnose over the TV or whatever.
sure.
But some of these things
They already
become
diagnosed
obvious,
him as a
okay?
narcissist. I mean,
For instance, they rarely let him talk too much close to night. So
so
with-
sundowners.
sundowners is one thing. He also may have urinary retention dementia.
Okay.
You know, so,
I
so
do think that he's starting to have like confusion moments.
that's what I'm saying. So some people who have urinary tract infections,
I know. I've heard of this.
get.
Elderly. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they have antibiotics, and he's the president. I think they would figure that out.
It doesn't matter. I mean, who wants
Someone's
to get near
keeping
him?
that dude alive.
And every physician that he approves is a hack. So
Oh, really?
he's in top health. Okay.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
That's true.
Fattest president since Taft.
There was also that event recently.
I heard this comment like last week, and I actually had to Google Taft. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
Recently, he also kind of looked off into space and said that he's the chosen one.
I'm the chosen one. Yes, that was fantastic. I'm like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah. I like had to watch the video, of course, and I'm just looking at it and I'm like, who's he talking
no,
to?
I mean, look, the video adds some context or whatever. I kind of saw what he was doing or whatever, and it's just like,
What's he the
it
chosen one
wasn't
of?
completely okay. Some people described it as completely out of context. He just stops in the middle of what he's saying. He looks off and says, "I'm the chosen one," but that's not really what
how
was
it went
happening.
down. No.
Well, he does a lot of word salad, so it's
But
possible.
no, he does a lot of word salad. But you know, it's common amongst
does.
Republicans. But there's also very common amongst alcoholics and drug addicts.
Sure.
Yeah, but I don't-
thinking they're one and the same.
Supposedly,
I don't
he's
know
never touched a drop.
I don't.
No, but he snorts Adderall like Coke, I hear.
Oh, I was
So-
gonna say I think that's
Jesus.
some of the like confusion or the dementia or whatever he's having. Like I think that's what it is.
Isn't that supposed to be like a single
His sentences that
molecule
don't
away
make
or
sense.
whatever from being Coke or
That's pretty much the same thing.
Jesus?
So, yeah. I mean, hey, look, this is just shit you hear on the internet, but you know, I believe any of it over him. So,
I don't know.
but anyways, so basically
he was talking
he's
about
like,
how we needed somebody to come in and I don't even remember what it was about. That video where he's the chosen one.
well, yeah, we need somebody to get tough with.
I literally can't keep track.
So
I've heard 3 things
Nonetheless.
this week.
Yeah,
I'm
but-
confusing them all into one
oh
story.
no, it's great though. There is constant
But it's normalized it to the point that like literally any one of the 220 things that have happened in the last 4 months would be shocking and would be an
I
investigated.
know, and now
or-
we're just like, oh god.
Oh,
this is
anybody
still going
else?
on.
Anybody else?
He's gonna get reelected.
Yeah, like when
You-
he
you
was
do know
running
that,
and
right?
he's like, I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue or
yeah,
whatever
he
it was.
admits it. Yeah.
Yeah. And,
And-
like at the time, you're like, oh my god, whatever, you nut job. And now you're like, yeah, he probably.
Yeah, he admits it,
could.
and it's
Yeah.
true. His followers are that crazy. So, but anyway, so he says this, and he says, you know, he's going to buy Greenland off of Denmark, and Denmark's like, not for sale. We don't really own them.
Right.
Like, there's nothing mean.
I didn't finish my point
in
though.
the, I don't care.
No.
There's nothing mean. No, it's too late now. I'm in the middle of talking. You can
Oh,
wait.
yeah, finish your.
So there's nothing mean in anything. I don't know. Is she prime minister, president of Denmark? I don't know. There's so many titles for people in charge. But anyways, the person in charge of Denmark said not for sale. Basically, nothing mean at all. And then he starts on this rant about how she's a nasty person. He cancels his trip and everything. And now he's ranting about Obama. And then
I
you
thought
come
it
to
was
find
back
out
on.
that Obama, well, maybe because enough people made fun of him, but because Obama was doing his trip to Denmark. So it's like, what? It's
So
ridiculous.
now he's going.
He's a freaking 5-year-old, you know? It's like,
Why
what
is
a
Obama going to Denmark?
probably to try and fix our relations with the rest of
Right?
the world. He might be doing this shit pro bono just to save the country.
Like just a superhero behind the shadows.
Seriously, it's exactly what's going on, I think. I think that there might be Democrats going around the world being like, okay, we got to repair everything while this dumpster fire burns
That could
itself
be
out.
the only reason we're not
But
at
not what
war
we're
with all
named
of our
for.
allies right
Right,
now.
right.
We've
yeah.
had this name
Look,
since.
we're so sorry. We
Yeah.
didn't see this coming. We're gonna patch these holes as soon
That's
as this
15
idiot's
years.
gone. You know, like I really feel like that's what's going on, right? We're going around like, oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah, no, I didn't invite him.
But my point is that with
He
the
just
melting
followed me
ice
into the
caps,
party.
Right.
with all these trade routes being opened up in the Arctic Circle, you're starting to see a lot more Russian vessels. Some of the military in our area. That's probably why he wants Greenland.
So he can trade with Russians more freely. Oh, so he can get his paychecks. So yeah, because I'm not buying that he's not paid off.
I agree. Someone's pulling the strings.
A fair point. I can't argue that. I was assuming to look good, because that's what a patriot might actually do, is worry about our
He was
country.
probably gonna gift it to Russia or something, or let them use it.
Oh,
I'm
Christ.
surprised he
You're
hasn't.
probably right.
Surprised he hasn't handed over the key to America yet. He might have. Who knows?
He might have.
Maybe he sent the
Turn Greenland to the new Cuba Missile Crisis.
He probably already sent Putin the football. You know, the red button. Here you go.
The football.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
launch our nukes.
What they call like the suitcase where they get with launch codes and all that.
Oh.
So, the last thing I had was that the world is on fire.
Indeed, it is.
Are we talking literally?
Yeah, we're talking literally.
So
the
the Amazon.
is on fire. Now, this is something that happens every year. The farmers burn away a section of the,
Oh yeah, slash and burn.
which isn't normal. Okay, stop saying it's normal. It's not normal. Okay, there are a lot of people out there being like, "Oh yeah, this is normal." No, just because you do it every year doesn't make it normal. Okay, and on top of that, the Amazon's not really supposed to burn. The reason they get away with this is because it usually stops. You know, you burn so
Well, it's
much,
wet. It's a
and it's too
rainforest.
wet to keep going. But
Yeah.
not this time. It's just burning out of control.
Right.
Well, they
The
probably
smoke
cleared
is so
enough land,
bad
yeah.
it can be seen from the cities. It can be seen from Sao Paulo and stuff like that. And it looks like gigantic storm clouds. And
Jesus.
it is not. This is the kind of shit you see when like a freaking volcano erupts or something like that nearby. So it's insane. And this is what 30% of the world's wildlife, 20% of our oxygen's produced here.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of undiscovered plants,
and
animal
on top of
toxins,
that-
and stuff that are all pharmaceuticals that
And
we'll
how
never
much
find.
carbon does it scrub out of the atmosphere every year? And we're already at a problem with that.
I mean, yeah.
There's a
There's.
downward
I think
spiral.
it's
It's probably like 20%.
pretty important that stay alive. I don't know that we'll survive
Right.
without the Amazon.
This is a global emergency.
Well, that's the
and
thing. Is
nobody-
theoretically, any other wood would suffice, but they're all gone. I
The-
mean,
here's the
Okay.
problem: the internet broke the story long before any of the weeks before the news outlets did. weeks
Now, what
before
makes
the
this
news outlets.
different than all the years past when all this has happened? Unprecedented level?
Well, it is the driest, hottest year
Okay.
in recorded history. So, or at least July was.
We just been
But it's
raping
been
the
burning
rainforest
since July.
forever.
So hey, yeah, seriously. Yeah, and so the vegans are like, just stop eating beef, and they won't have to do this. They're still gonna try and make a
well,
living
that'll
somewhere.
deal with some of the methane, but
Well,
that doesn't
nonetheless,
mean anything.
There's other types of farming that it still take a lot of land. You know,
Sure.
this isn't the only thing.
Well, they're also,
So.
harvesting timber.
I'm not
and everything
completely,
else.
by the way, denying that beef is a problem. Beef is definitely a problem.
It is also
but I think
very
there's other
delicious,
ways.
though.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to beef trees. So,
Beef trees.
yep, it's a thing.
Shut
they're
up, is it?
They're genetically engineering
I-
meat to grow
I think they
That's
grow in shelves.
outside
right
of
now.
the animal.
I'm
Like,
pretty sure they just grow in shelves.
no brain, no nothing. They grow meat.
That's
I'm waiting
disturbing.
till someone
It may
actually
seem
eats a
disturbing, but
bite and tells
don't
me
you
if
think
it's
it's
any
less
good.
cruel?
Yeah, it's
Oh no, I'm down
cruel,
for it when they
sure.
actually perfect it.
Oh, I hear the whatever they were, $1,500 meatballs were great.
I
Oh, shit.
I do
'Cause
not want to
it's
be beta
because it's
testing that.
experimental technology right now, but
Right.
meat's meat. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's preferable to killing animals for sure.
right? That's and you can grow it in a laboratory.
don't
You don't
know.
need a
I
bunch
think
of
it-
land.
Probably just be fatty. It's not like it's
and-
getting exercise where they put electrodes on it.
It's not like it's producing a ton of methane either. You know, so you
I
want
don't know.
your
The
beef
whole
a
thing
little
is kind
fatty.
of disturbing. It's a little.
Oh, you think that's disturbing? Do you ever see the modular biological robots? It's okay. What was it? Kinects or something that had the little motors, and you put the things on, and you made some kind of motorized Lego construction thing.
Sure.
They have organic versions of that. It is the creepiest shit you've
What do
ever
you mean
seen.
Organic.
Like people that you put together.
No, like a living limb of thing that they plug into another limb of thing. I'm not
How the
joking.
hell does that even work?
I-
Is it like
There
two
are
individual
videos,
creatures that can
And
be
it's
put
not.
together?
It's not staged. It's not special effects. It's actual experiments we are doing.
Is this that Build-A-Bitch workshop they're talking about?
That's not a
Maybe
thing.
early stages. It's grotesque. It is the stuff of nightmares.
Really?
It's really cool, but it
I'll have
is
to
the
look
stuff of
into this.
nightmares.
This might-
It truly is.
I occasionally enjoy a good nightmare.
I was gonna say this sounds like a horror movie.
Oh God, it's so
So-
gross.
Look, I mean, I think you have to break a few eggs to make a good omelet,
Well, that's-
and maybe that's what this
It's
is.
not intelligent. I mean,
But I mean, I think we're getting there. I think the science is there, and I think maybe that's what we have to focus on is the science. I think we need to start taking this seriously. We need to start taking global warming seriously.
We do. We need to make. I mean, and there's so many changes that can be made. We need to be making a push towards solar.
It needs to be a lifestyle.
We need to be using hemp products
Yeah.
across the board instead of cutting down trees for paper, toilet paper, paper towels, paper plates, all those things. Hemp grows way
Or cotton.
faster. It's way easier. Yes, hemp will replace fabrics.
Yeah.
You can build a freaking house with it. Hempcrete is a thing. Like
and this
you can
isn't like a
replace-
pro weed thing. This is just literally it's a
No.
good plant for these things.
It can be used for
As
so many
long as,
things, and
like-
it's so much better
Like
for
I
the
heard about the
environment.
hempcrete, and I just want to be sure that my sidewalk doesn't smell like weed in the summer, because I don't like the smell of the stuff.
Maybe
So-
family, but you're talking about it's made from the male plant.
Stinks.
There's like almost no THC or anything in that.
I'm not worried about
Right.
THC. I don't care if you get stoned. I don't care if I get stoned.
It's also
I just don't want to smell it. It stinks.
naturally insect repellent.
So that's
Well, that's
nice.
good.
So
Mhm.
is orange oil, but so there's a bunch of things though, right?
And
a
fire
cou-
resistant.
A couple of countries, of
Hmm.
course, a lot of places are going to put in solar panes on the roofs, and those things that aren't solar, they're painting white because I guess it's
Yeah, it reflects the light.
so even
Sends
like
the heat
streets,
sends
like-
the heat back out because instead of retaining the heat and then slowly releasing it through the day, raising the overall temperature.
Sure, yeah.
Because they were actually talking about that, like in cities where you have a lot of parking lots and blacktop and whatever. You can actually see a temperature difference in the way it actually. It's like a reverse desert. Like at night, all this heat comes up, and the whole city is warmer
Yeah,
than
I've
it
seen
should
stuff
be.
like it's crazy. But yeah, see, and the problem I have is I always hear these Republicans bashing solar and wind power and everything like that. And,
Well,
and-
because
and Trump says stupid things like, "Oh, what do you do when the sun goes down?" Or what if the wind's not blowing? Oh,
Batteries.
suddenly you have no power. It's like, have you seriously never heard of a battery?
Or they'll talk about how, it was a really cold day. Good thing I don't have solar.
plus it's a
It
grid.
doesn't run on heat.
Right.
Yeah, like,
It
what?
runs on the sun.
We have 4 time zones, so when the sun's down there, we still have an hour over here.
It's ridiculous. It is absolute ridiculousness. Well, and there's so many great
It's called a grid.
innovations and stuff. And like if we invested in these things, we would be much further along. I mean, the gravity battery is one of the coolest things I've seen.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And now I hear like one of the things that they're talking about doing is putting these things in like the light poles on the freeways and stuff like that. So they'll have a little windmill, and it's not like your typical, concentric windmill or whatever. It wraps around the pole, and so it spins around the pole instead of like fan style or whatever. And that lifts a weight on the inside of the light pole, and so all night long that weight slowly drops, keeping the light lit.
At an equal amount.
Right.
Yeah.
So the light stays lit. No battery, no anything else.
And that slow turning
That's kind of genius, if you ask me.
generates enough to power the LEDs in that
But-
thing.
And then the other thing they always like, where do we put all the solar paints? I'm like, you have all this freeway. Couldn't you just hood the freeways?
Well, that would probably
It's
be a
not
little
just
expensive,
that.
but
There's places to
But-
put solar on everything.
right,
on
and
every
we were getting
roof,
better with it
on
too.
every building, on every you
Especially
can
with
put solar
shingles.
Right, right.
everywhere.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Why don't we start replacing
With proper
all- well, now
subsidizing, we
there's-
could do this.
I saw
Oh,
the
for
clear solar
sure.
panes or whatever.
If
they
we
could be
cared,
used as
we
windows.
could do this. Right.
So,
Right. Exactly.
I mean, if you're producing 2-3 times what you need in solar power and stuff like that, definitely never worry that you're going to run out.
Right.
But with the gravity batteries and the Tesla Powerwall seems like genius to me.
Although, I'm trying to remember who it was, like Walmart or somebody was. There was a major corporation that was suing.
It's the solar
Tesla.
panels that caught fire. But they,
I thought it was the batteries.
what I heard was it's not apparent whether it was the. And I don't know if this is true.
Oh,
it was a
the
discussion
installation?
board that I was. It was the installation, possibly, not the equipment itself.
Well, to my understanding, he wasn't able to meet demand. He only did like 7 houses in it or something.
It's because he's funding this all himself instead of taking on a bunch of investors.
Yeah,
or-
he
or
does a
what have
lot
you.
in house.
Elon Musk.
Yes,
I mean, he's brilliant. I mean, his
he's got to let go of the reins a little bit if he wants
Yeah.
his stuff to catch on. Though he's
Oh.
trying to do it all himself, and it's never going to happen that way.
So, but we need to start investing in this stuff. This needs to be a lifestyle. I agree with, and this is an unpopular opinion, but Sanders' Green New Deal, I think, is the way to go. Or, and I think Ocasio is backing it too. And honestly, I think that's where we need to go because it's not only is it, yes, it sounds expensive, but it's also creating a ton of new jobs. And it kind of makes this more green lifestyle a way of life. It's not
Right, and you're kind of circling back to the Koch thing, the Koch brothers, where they've been funding all of this stuff to keep the
the disinformation campaigns.
right, and their corporations are very dirty, and
Right.
I think that the vast majority of the pollution and stuff in America is coming from a handful of companies.
Oh yeah, well we were led to believe
Corporations.
that coal jobs are necessary. Clean
Well-
coal, which isn't a thing, right?
Right.
Or
I had-
clean oil, which isn't a thing.
Right.
And we're led to believe all this when really it's a very small percentage of
It's
jobs
like
for the amount of pollution
100
it creates.
corporations are creating. It's like 80 or 90%
Right.
of the world.
And we're going to get stuck with the bill
pollution.
cleaning up after
And so
them.
while we're
Well, a lot
sitting
of
here
it is
talking
trafficking
about
cows, but-
how we can recycle and giving up meat and blah 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 blah, like the biggest issue are 100 corporations.
Right.
Although, besides methane and carbon dioxide and all that, your toxic chemicals, those are coming from factories.
Yes.
There's stuff that we're getting into our water and
Which, and we keep beating the hell out of the EPA. And the only reason we're doing that is because corporations don't want to spend money
well, also because we're
cleaning up after themselves.
Right,
See-
exactly. We're moving the wrong direction on that stuff, and
By the way, if you did this to your own home, you'd be arrested.
we're
For
finding
sure.
genetic diseases and different things that follow what's called the Rust Belt. The factories.
Oh, yeah,
and,
yeah.
And it's like, well, what's common there?
Right, right.
Hexavalent and all chemicals
Sure,
like
yeah.
that.
hmm
Yeah,
oh yeah,
there's-
there's no doubt this stuff's killing people.
Well, look at MS is prevalent to people who have lived in the United States before the age
As
of
certain
21.
forms of cancer and
Certain forms of cancer, almost exclusively the Rust Belt. So it's obvious that this is because of the pollution of our factories.
right.
So
yeah, it's
Or
just a matter of that. The
pesticides
correlation
and-
is obvious. The causation takes research.
right. So we have to figure out who's at fault, but it's definitely somebody, and it may be many of them.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
it's not any one person. Otherwise, it would be a little more localized.
But I mean, regardless, the path is clear. We just don't want to take it. We're more interested in protecting corporations in this country than we are protecting lives and people.
Well, I think we need to consider it treason when a politician lies to us. And I think we need to find a way to pass a law that calls it treason for lying to the people. So it should be.
Yeah,
I mean,
but then
I
you
agree.
go,
It
what
should
is a
be
lie?
illegal.
We
What
should-
if he just
caught in a
misunderstood?
lie, that's the problem.
We should be. It should
or
be
the
absolute-
politician was misinformed.
It's not just that.
What is
either.
a fact?
Lobbyism?
What is news?
Exactly.
What is real?
Oh my god! And I hate that they do that too. It's like if
done.
you're if
it's
you're
over.
if
Truth
you're
is dead.
if your politician goes and tries to, well, what exactly do we mean by this, to try and weasel his way around the truth, he's lying to you. He's a con artist. Get rid of him.
I mean,
Period.
that's a lot of politicians.
So I don't care. Purge.
I agree, purge.
Purge. Get rid of all of them. Whatever. It's time for the purge. So let's start over. We don't need them. Look, I'm willing to lose some of the good ones we have for all the bad ones we have, because there's that many bad ones.
The
It's
problem
mostly
is,
bad ones. There's a handful
I don't
of
know
good
who
ones.
runs for politics anymore. Think about it. If you're civic minded, you want to make change. You're inspired to make a difference. You run a number of roadblocks. Let's look at them historically. I've heard that your average person who's been on this track knows what it's like to go to Washington. He decides he's going to have 3 agendas, and if he can get one of them passed, he's a success. That's all he wants to do with his 6 years as a senator or whatever. Okay, 'cause these people, they have a few terms. They become dead inside. They learn that the system is engineered in such a fashion that they can never actually accomplish
So-
any one thing they want to. They just slowly push, hoping that they can erode a mountain with water. It's...
So we run into a couple problems here, right? So one of them is maybe we do term limits, right? However, with term limits, we never get a good experienced
Okay,
politician.
issue
We
2, get
never-
reelected.
We never, you can't get these things that we've been pushing for a long time, passed or anything. You never build a good set of relationships, right? So it's always new people. However, when they stay in office too long, of course, they become corrupt and effective and all
the
kinds
system
of things.
corrupts
So
them.
that's the
what
thing.
I'm saying.
What
Good people.
is the answer?
That's not necessarily the case.
Oh, I
Bernie's
think it
been in
does.
office for how long? I don't find him to be corrupt at all.
But extremely rare. Like
Yeah.
it is-
Extremely
There's
rare.
like 2 politicians I trust.
Yes. The thing
2.
is that I think that number one is we need to take the money out of politics. There should be no more legal
Definitely.
bribery, which
But-
is all
wait,
that
but
shit
they're
is.
citizens.
Huh?
Corporations are citizens.
No, the fuck they're not.
You
Oh,
don't
right.
remember that?
No,
Oh, no,
the
that-
fuck they're
Was
Well,
it
not.
that's the thing, but
Citizens
that's
United?
the result of bribery.
It
You know,
is
and
bribery.
it's
There
what we
is
gotta
no
call
painting it in a
lobbyism.
pretty
It's
way.
bribery.
It is bribery. There should be no corporations allowed to throw money at politicians for their campaigns. You are just asking for corporations to be running the country. 90% of those fucking politicians are paid for. They're puppets. They're not representing people, and they're not doing their job. And there is no other way to put that.
I absolutely agree.
Now, the third problem, and the big one I see today, is the fact that everyone has a camera on their phone and everyone's on every social media. How does anyone have a childhood? How does anyone survive being so nerdy, so driven from the age of 8 till 40 to become president without ever having a scandal or saying something's wrong or thinking something stupid? Because it will be in the news.
Well,
So you got to have a big
is that a
hairy
problem?
sack
Is that a problem?
in a general
Because
neutral sense.
Kavanaugh essentially raped people, and still now
yeah, everybody's
holds.
like, oh, that's cool. Yeah,
but
that's
now,
Well, on that party, that's fine.
of course, if you're talking about becoming a Democrat,
That's what I'm asking.
no, it's impossible.
Who the hell
Let
gets
me
elected?
tell you something.
Who could
There
get
was a
elected now?
picture that made me suddenly say, I fucking like this dude. And it was before I really knew who Bernie Sanders was. There's a picture of him being arrested
Uh-huh.
at a civil rights movement where he was protesting for, I think it was black rights, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Equality. And
Yeah,
like
that
that
was,
was like,
60s.
holy shit, I like this dude. So not every scandal and never
Right,
every
right.
bad
But he
thing
was
is a
old then.
bad thing.
He was old then. Okay.
Well, the thing
I'm talking about somebody right now who's 18. How is that person going to
Ocasio.
survive politics?
AOC is my girl, man. When she's
If
president,
she doesn't have skeletons, I'd be
when-
amazed.
I don't care if she has skeletons. Once she becomes president age, I'm voting for her.
No, we're in a zero-tolerance society. You find one little thing, and it ends everybody.
I will change. I will
That is
don
not the
my
case at
gladiator
all.
gear and go into combat for her. She is the right person to become president. She's just too
I've
young
seen
yet.
it time and time again. Okay, Republicans, they ignore anything. They'll talk it over like, oh, kids will be kids. But if a Democrat does it, The
Well,
Democrats are jumping up before the
it's not
Republicans even
that.
get to them.
No, it's some of it's bullshit though, and I've come to understand that some of this stuff is Republicans posing as Democrats, tearing these people apart, and then other Democrats.
Either
latching
way,
onto the idea.
either way, they
And
play the game
we
better.
need to stop falling for this crap because it's purposely done. It's purposely put together to trick you into hating your own people, and we got to stop doing it. We got to stop falling for that shit.
Yeah,
Use your brain.
It's crazy, but yeah, they can get away with anything. But you have 1 ounce of mud on you, you're
It's
done.
because their followers are much more willing to listen to whatever bullshit reasons they throw out.
Well, it's not that the Republican Party has a singular agenda as of right now, and a lot of people don't believe me, but more and more are starting to believe me that this is not about anything political specifically or what have you. It's about the end of days. They are a doomsday cult. The entire Republican Party, whether you agreed to it or not, as a Republican, you are backing a doomsday cult. That's what all the Zionism is about and everything else. It's all about fulfilling the prophecies for the end of days. That's it. It's ridiculous, and I know it sounds weird.
Are
and
you
Alex
saying they're
Jonesy,
trying to bring about the end of the world?
yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yes, they're trying to start the rapture.
Well, I would argue with you, but they're doing a damn good job.
What they need the Antichrist in office, and they
Well,
need to
not
return
really.
the Jews to Israel.
And they're destroying the planet, and they're legitimately bringing around the end of the fucking world.
Yeah,
telling
no, it's supposed to end in fire though.
There's a fire in the Amazon that's out of control.
Oopsie, it's all coming together. No, I know it sounds crazy, man, and I think a few years ago I would have been like, "That's ridiculous."
No,
Eh,
I've
This
saw,
is the most Alex Jonesian bullcrap I've ever heard
Before
of.
2016,
It's not nearly
our
as crazy
everyday
as it is with
life,
people,
I
trust
would
me.
have never believed.
Right, I'm telling you, man. And I for a while I shut my mouth and I'm like, no, and then I started seeing more and more people. I'm like, oh my god, I'm not the only person who sees this.
Yeah, there's scary shit going on in this world right now.
I don't think it's a majority of them, but I do think it's a
The-
large percentage.
The
It's a
problem
fucking
is
dumpster
that
fire.
Even if they were right, the people pushing it along are not getting in. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if it was 100% correct, you'd have to be
Yeah,
evil to push it along.
Okay, I'm not.
I
I'm not aiming this podcast for the purpose of mocking anybody's religious beliefs, but I gotta say, there is an inordinate amount of ugly people who think that they are going to achieve salvation, and by their own standards, that is not possible.
You mean ugly spiritually?
yes?
Yeah.
But
That's
'Cause
my
phys-
thing,
Usually
though,
both,
is I
usually
don't
both.
think
Physically
I don't
ugly
think
people can
these
still get in heaven.
these Republicans who claim to be doing things the way God intended, blah 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 blah, who are spewing their hatred, they don't believe in God. I'm sorry, they don't believe in God.
No, I agree with you, but the people backing them do, and
Yes,
this is
the
to
people
push this
backing them
doomsday
do.
agenda.
But these corporations that own the politicians, they don't believe in God.
Well, no, they're conning them. This is
Yes,
a con
they're
this
conning
is a scam.
people.
But it's a two-sided
But there is
scam,
just
right?
not a chance
It is
that these politicians believe in God.
It is the evangelicals using the Antichrist and his posse to achieve their goals at the end
And
of
I've
days.
heard- I've actually
well,
heard this
the
argument.
Antichrist and his posse are conning the evangelicals.
The thing is that
into-
religion
no,
aligns,
they've come themselves.
aligns with their goals, and that's why they use religion to get what they want.
Because I've actually heard interviews with various evangelicals and other sects who have said to the fact that they don't believe that Trump is the chosen one or anything else. They don't even think he's going to be a good president, but they do think that he could be used to move the meter, either in the negative way to bring about the apocalypse, or in a positive way to get something else accomplished.
That's
so,
horrifying.
So they actually don't want him for what he's doing, but for what will happen because he exists.
That's horrifying.
Well, I guess if the world is still here next week,
God.
we will talk to you then.